What's going on, everybody? Mortem here, this time bringing you my first impressions of Weird West. Now, I like to review games after 100%, and that will be the case with Weird West as well, but naturally that takes a while, so I like to put out these first impressions videos, and my first impressions of Weird West are that it's weird. So, I can honestly say I've never played a game quite like Weird West, and that's really a good thing. It's sort of a CRPG meets immersive sim, where you can pick up and interact and toss and throw things all around. You have a ton of story options. You can just outright kill main story characters, and there's still a way to continue the story. There's a lot of options, there's a lot of things working together, and while I have noticed a negative or two already, overall this is shaping up to be a really interesting game. Now, best I can tell, the game actually takes place across a few different stories, if you will. I'm still in the first one currently, which will probably have changed by the time this video goes out, but it appears that you play as one character and then that ends and you transition to a new character in some way, which will have different abilities and stats and stuff, and apparently you get to play as a werewolf at some point. And the game has a bit of a framing device to explain this, which in and of itself is pretty interesting. But so far, progression-wise, we are divided up into abilities and perks. Now, you actually level these up through items. You don't level your character up in a normal sense. You find two different types of relics. So you find a regular old relic, and then you can find a golden ace of spades, and you can use these to level up abilities and perks respectively. Perks seem to carry over across lives. It tells you that, meaning that those will follow you to the new characters, but I don't think that's true of the abilities. I believe those are specific to the individual character that you're playing, so they haven't really gone with the traditional level up system, which so far I'm liking. There don't seem to be companions of any sort. You take on hired guns, if you will, so like mercenaries that you can find here and there that you can hire on. So you do get a chance to travel around with some other people who can help you out in tough encounters. But let's talk about some of the more interesting stuff. So when it comes to combat, it's a very elemental system, if you will. Much in the way DOS 2 was, there's a lot of environmental activity that you would kind of associate with an immersive sim anyway. But if you light something on fire and then you throw something in the fire, or a person, then that thing will light on fire. You can actually walk up to it and take on fire arrows this way. So if you have a bow equipped, you can walk towards the fire and light your arrows on fire that way. So little stuff like that. There's a ton of interactions with the environment, which translates to enemies. There's a whole stealth system that you can take part in, which will let you knock out enemies silently. And I found this a little later, but you can actually get up on top of roofs and things and just drop down on enemies, which will instantly knock them out. You can actually also kick them off the sides of buildings if you can get up there and kind of take out a sentry or whatever, so that's been fun. And while there's a lot of fun ways to engage with combat, and I'm just kind of mentioning some of the things that I've messed around with so far, you actually get a lot of options, period, because you can just go in and wipe out whole towns, and for a while they'll turn into a sort of ghost town where creatures will take over, but they can apparently, I haven't seen this yet, but the game tells you that over time they will actually return to being a normal town. And moreover, if you kill main story characters, and I have actually managed to experiment with this, but if you kill main story characters, they either have the notes for the thing they were going to tell you on them, or they turn into a ghost. So you can apparently complete quests for ghosts, but I haven't really got to see that part of it yet, but you can absolutely just kill main story characters and carry on with the game. And I'm going to give one sort of minor spoiler example of this, because I had a lot of fun with this experience. I want to talk about it. But very early on in the game, so hopefully not too much of a spoiler for most people, you have to go get information from this guy. You meet him, he's clearly not a good person, and he's like, hey, go do this bad thing for me, and then I'll give you your information. Now, the two obvious choices there are kill this guy, or go do his task for the information. However, I was exploring his tobacco farm, and I wandered into like a warehouse, and the game suddenly said I was trespassing. Right away, I learned there was a trespassing system, but also, more importantly, I was like, well, if I'm trespassing in here, I definitely want to go check it out. So I sneak in, I stealth my way through, I find a hidden basement where this dude's apparently keeping a captive. So I free this person, I go back upstairs to talk to him to see if the guy I was getting the quest from had anything to say about it, and sure enough, you can actually blackmail him with this information to just skip the part where you got to do him a favor or kill him, and he'll just give you what you want and you can go on your way, having freed this prisoner and everything. So that was a really cool, like, organically found third way around this quest, which leads me into one last system I want to talk about for this first impressions video, and that is the vendetta or friends for life system. So you'll have the opportunity to either help people or, kill people, obviously. But in the case of that person that was held captive that I freed, they became my friend for life, meaning that sometimes when you're in combat, this person might randomly show up to help you. However, that cuts both ways. If you shoot up a town and you kill somebody's significant other or friend or whatever, they can start a vendetta. If they escape, they can come back to find you later and ambush you, which I've experienced both sides of, which so far I thought was really cool. Now, I did want to leave off with one negative thing, because while I have enjoyed what I've seen so far, I did notice that a lot of the maps seem to be reused, in the sense that if you go into a mine, that mine has the same layout across 3 or 4 different mines that I've seen now. And while the interior might be different, the literal map layout is exactly the same, which I never like to see in a game like this. But other than that, so far I am having a ton of fun. So my first impressions of Weird West are that it is weird, a ton of fun though, and there's just so many ways to play that I'm having a blast. Now, I will be 100%ing this, so we'll see if some of these opinions hold up when we actually get to the review. But for now, I'm going to save some for the review and leave it there. So, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube jazz. Maybe consider joining the channel as a member if you enjoyed the video, but regardless of any of that, truly, thank you. May you wander in wisdom and have an amazing day.